See that.
Meeting to order. What?
Chairman's
That was
remarks.
us there for a
First
while.
item we have to discuss is today's somebody's someone's birthday today? And on that same note, having the same person, I'm gonna hand this over to Paul.
Thank you very much, and certainly also want to extend a happy birthday to Jessica. And also Jessica has advised me last week that she's going back to the state, and we're going to be visiting her certainly. And we're disappointed for us, but we're very excited and happy for her. And you know, she's done a terrific job here. She'll have left a significant impact in our work and a significant gap in our future. But perhaps you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been here just over a year and a half. It's been surprising. I worked with CEDC about 15, 18 years ago. I worked with the Small Business Development Center and worked with the organization there, counseling people. And then I also, when I worked at the state about 10 years ago, worked on a project or two with CEDC. So having the opportunity to come here and work, and I've never been so impressed. It's such an amazing organization, and it was a really, really tough decision. A little bit of family stuff that really drove it, but it's an impressive organization, and I'm so proud to have been sort of part of everything everyone does here. The staff is, top notch. So thank you, Mike.
Well, thank you very much. And, Jessica has helped by starting to write a job description, and Jessica's going to be going back to the state. We're going to. Our thought is to search for two positions. One is Jessica's position at the executive level, also one at a project manager's level, and I think we're looking at that primarily because of this new law that requires you to post the range of salary. And if we found that there was no one that met the qualifications that Jessica brought to the table and at the salary level that she's earned, but we wanted to take a risk on someone who was had less experience, that we could we'd have two jobs where otherwise, if you hired the person to fill the job because they were the best qualified but not really fit the position, you have to pay them the higher amount under this new law that posted the range of salaries. Originally this was a project manager's position, and we modified it when Jessica first came to me to discuss would we consider someone with her background and experience, and so we did modify the job description then. But we're not really sure how this new law is going to work. But you have to post the low salary and the high salary, and you can't really post the project manager's salary at one level and the $20,000 more for the higher level, and not have that person want to negotiate to the higher level. So I think we're going. I don't think that it's a bit disingenuous because you're not going to necessarily hire two people, but I do think that. And I also have come to the realization and discussed this with Dave that we're not going to find someone with Jessica's skills and talents exactly. So we're going to have to things that I had asked her to take care of because of her skill and experience, I may take back and have to give other responsibilities that I have to a new person based on their skills and experience, and other team members would do the same. So I hopefully can find someone from Columbia County. That was another great attribute that Jessica brought to the table. We really weren't. Jessica and I have had some discussions about some potential people, but we really couldn't do anything until we brought this to your attention. So again, again, happy birthday, and Jessica's gonna stay through October 28th. We're very grateful to her for providing a professional transition. Have expected nothing less, but in this day and age, you're always surprised. So thank you again. You've done a good job and made a great contribution. And, the only consolation, I guess, is that we do will continue to apply for grants at the agency where she works. But she won't be able to refuse it. So put a good word in for us, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item would be the minutes from the August 29th meeting. Somebody who's read them.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion is carried. Next item is the treasurer report.
Good morning. On the P&L, I keep getting nervous on the balance sheet because it does show that our total assets are up $1 million. And when I go back in and look at where are those dollars from, but primarily because of the increase in property that we're holding to the county, increase in the amount of money we've received. We have to the SBA with respect to the loan funds, and it's an increase resulting from having to make the calculation on leases that we ended up with as a part of the change in accounting tool. On the liability side, part of the liability is we're booking $105,000 of due from the county because we deferred that income because of how the program started, and so we have. We also have the land deposit. We have the lease liability, which is the corresponding entry that boosted the asset side of the balance sheet. We owe the SBA $316,000 more than we did last year, and so I was concerned that it ties out almost exactly if I look at the bigger items. But I was wanting to be sure that when you grow your balance sheet that 33%, wanted to be sure that where that is from. Are there any questions on the balance sheet?
Not a question, but I feel like I'm sitting in high school. I'm looking at your highlighted version versus ours, and I think it'd be great if we all kind of get a color coded one like that. It's easier to follow along. Okay.
On the P&L, we're still lagging on the administrative revenue from the IDA project, but we expect that 708 7th Street will close this week. That's the Galvin 75-unit affordable housing project behind us. You can see Factor Construction has pulled up their trailer next to the Depot Brewery. When that closes, we'll receive $10,000 in fees. And also down $2,500 in that category. We're also down $3,000 in the Opportunity Build Grant program. There are grants out there where we're entitled to an administrative fee, but we take the fee as the money comes in, and it comes in buckets for the developer based on how many jobs they've created at any particular time. So those are timing issues. We did receive a check from the county yesterday for the third quarter. They have prepaid us for so that we could have the cash to put down on the 11 Warren Street property. but, you know, that's being improved and, that's being dealt with on the balance sheet side. So, our membership income is down from what we budgeted, and, Jessica and I and Riley have worked on, being ready for a membership campaign in the fall. We all remember that during COVID, we kind of backed off, any type of membership pressure, but, you know, we do want to be able to bring in, $50,000 to $75,000 a year membership, support. We are going to have to find a new location for our annual meeting, because of, coastal's closing. But maybe, have to, talk to someone at the college. Always thought the College of Switzerland, as it relates to Green County, but, you know, it's a little bit further for people from the northern end of the county, but probably, one of the places that can handle 120 plus people for our annual meeting. I'm pleased to say that, we're on budget for bank interest. We have worked with Bank of Green County, Key Bank, and Community Bank to get money in accounts that, are earning anywhere from, 2+% to, 4% CD. So we, you know, when bank interest rates were 0.0001, didn't really matter, but, we have been able to, we're anticipating about $12,000 each year and, even more next year. One of the issues with some of the SBA accounts is that, they don't really qualify for some of the higher interest accounts because of, how we have to operate them. We can't buy CDs with, our total interest income is up, slightly because we did get $3,100 from the government when they, paid us for our employee, or, not EIDL, it's actually employer pension credit fund. So when we get down to it, you know, our budget is, on the income side, you know, we're $25,000 below budget. On the expense side, we're down, on our total expenses, by, about $50,000, primarily, because, initiatives to 39,000 instead of our budget of 8, and, so also we're down $8,000 on payroll. So we're at a net of negative, $451 versus projected net of $25,292. So, you know, it's not that, if we end up with new initiatives and this additional intern or staff, costs, and, some of our other, expense areas, between now and the end of the year, but as we get closer with only 3 months left, it will look like we're gonna be operating.
So we need a motion to, or is there any discussion on the, treasurer's report? Motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion is carried. Next, we have committees. First up is, audit and finance.
We'll have a meeting this month, October, and then, you know, we time those so they, come the month after the end of the year.
Executive committee also did not meet. Governance and nominating. Governors and nominating. Do you have anything?
Just I'll be sending out a letter to everybody, most everybody's here. We're looking at the slate of officers for next year, so if you have any interest in that changeover comes in January, first of the year, whereas your terms go into it's 2 different. Also looking for new members for the board. We have the suggestions. Our next meeting is November 7th. So some suggestions. Thank you.
Loan committee did meet. I was absent.
three loans for approval.
Already first in the portfolio dashboard, and I usually goes to Martha.
Thank you. No new clients have been added to the dashboard, but I did want to point out that loan client C, $3,800. That loan was written off, as you may recall, the SBA required. And next month, I'll be asking the loan committee for permission to write off loan plan E. That one has been deemed uncollectible out there. Are there any questions?
Only a dashboard.
So we need a approval.
Motion,
Any discussion or questions?
So move.
second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Carried.
So carried. And then we,
Interest rate.
yep, we voted on raising the interest rate.
Okay. So some discussion on that. What does that want?
We had a very good discussion at the loan committee and we debated different interest rates. As you can see, Jessica put together a chart to help guide our discussion. The loan committee settled on 7.75% and these rates effective October 1st. But again, it was just recommended to this board and required this board.
We did look at what commercial loans are being priced at in the market. You know, we talked to Justin and others at the Board of Savings who have access to what we're charging. Loans of this nature are prime plus 2. I've seen prime plus 1. Prime now is 8.5. So we thought that you know the 7.75 was the rate that we had previously used when rates were higher. It gives some certainty and some break for someone who doesn't want to be on a floating prime plus, and it's still just below what it would be if they were locked in at prime plus 1 or 2. I think the most interesting thing was what difference it makes in our revenue over a 5-year loan on a hypothetical $500,000 portfolio. At 3.75, it's 50 grand, and then 9.5, it's 130 grand. And so it will add to our bottom line as well. The SBA allows us 7.75 over our cost of funds, and that was factored in 7.75 because the way the SBA works is the first year you have 0 cost of funds. The second year through the 5-year term or 7-year term?
It's a 10-year term.
On the SBA?
Yes.
It goes to a higher rate, but during COVID they made it 0. So technically on the SBA side, we don't have a large cost of funds kick in until next year when it's brought down anyway, right?
Right, it'll go to 2%.
2%.
For the 13th month.
So we could go to 9.75 next year, but again, we're trying to help people. Again, as you see, the difference in 1.75% is $17 a month difference payment because the loans are so such a short period of time in terms of 5-year loans. So I think it's better reflection. It's being out there at 3.75 or 5%. Does make it look like we might be competing with banks, and people might gravitate to us who would otherwise go to a bank. Where what we're looking at, groups of businesses we're looking to serve are people who really need to demonstrate their business or their credit before a bank will bank. So that was the recommendation. I guess it requires a vote.
So The loan committee is recommending 7.75% for both CEDC and SBA.
Do have, $28,000 left in the county's 3.75% program, but that's only up to $25,000 and it's special other criteria. Here that out there.
Yeah, any more questions? Any motions to approve?
Make the motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Ready for these? Our first loan request is from ACW, client we've been working with for the past 7 years. They're located in Clobber. The loan request is for $75,000, split between the two loan funds. The interest rate is 6%, and this is going to be used for equipment purchases and improvements to the building. And the collateral will be a lien on the equipment purchased. The loan committee recommended this, assuming we cross-collateralize, and so we are asking Freeman Howard to handle the closing on this one and to make sure it's done correctly. There was also a question, a couple of questions regarding the CNC machine that's mentioned in the detailed write-up that we sent to you all last week. CNC stands for Computer Numerical Control. The business already has one. One of the purchases they recently made is for a vertical CNC, which allows for more detailed millwork and more repetitive millwork. It's all controlled by software, and the great benefit to the business is that it requires much less training. Are there any questions on ACW?
Can we back up? See the loan rate? What's the effective date of the loan rate? October.
The people that are in the pipeline now, when they came in, they were told it's going to be the previous rate.
So next meeting,
October 1st.
any loans?
Do you have anyone in the pipeline?
We do. We have a couple in the pipeline that we have, we're hoping to hold at 6%. Anyone we're talking to now, it's,
So applications received before October 1st are via back.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So approved.
Good morning, everybody. Old Hudson LLC, a market cafe located here in Hudson. Their loan is $75,000 that we provide between the two loan funds. A total monthly payment of $969.42. We have 6% interest rate. Purpose of this loan, working capital, and the collateral for the loan, a lien on the business assets, as well as a second mortgage on their residence. And of course, the personal guarantee of the principal. This closing would also be handled by Freeman Howard. Old Hudson LLC.
two comments on this loan. The loan committee requested that we receive and review a copy of the lease. We have that now in-house. Someone also pointed out that the rent line on their business projections was incorrect, and we have now received corrected projections.
Motion approved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Ron Berger.
Yes, Robert Works in New York, located in the town of Livingston. Custom kitchens and cabinetry. A $50,000 loan request, again divided between our two loan funds at a 6% interest rate. Total monthly payment $664.52. Purpose of the loan is a debt refinance. Collateral, a lien on the business assets, as well as the personal guarantee on the principal. One note, collateral conversation, it was presented to the loan committee last week that involved the second mortgage. Upon review with the borrower and an internal discussion here at CEDC, the borrower's strength of character, being a past client, current client of CEDC, the decision was to remove the second mortgage. So again, the collateral on this loan will be of business assets and his personal guarantee. That's Robert works in New York. Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's okay. And then the next item for discussion is the changing of the collateral. Right. First one is due east for an existing loan client. Currently CEDC has a second mortgage on the real estate as well as a blanket lien on the business assets. HVADC is in the process of potentially approving a loan to the client, and they have asked us to subordinate one or the other of our positions. We agreed that we would keep the second mortgage, and if this board approves it, we would subordinate our lien to HVADC so that they would have first lien on business assets, including equipment and collateral, and then we would come back in and file a lien behind them.
What's the outstanding balance?
That's a good question.
I'll go get it.
Okay, thank you. I believe it's $40,000. Okay,
And no problems?
none.
Please remind us what HVAC is.
Oh, HVADC is Hudson Valley Agribusiness, led by Todd Erling. They operate within, I think it's a 8-county region. So obviously, a winery fits into their, program, and they are ready to approve a loan as soon as they have sufficient collateral. Questions?
Motion to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. No question. This is another change in collateral, and again, our loan policy manual states that if it's a significant loan, we need board approval to make that happen. We had originally had this loan approved with a second mortgage on property owned by a sister company. That proved to be very difficult because there are different owners of that property than there are owners of this existing business. So we have received a list of business assets, which doesn't quite total $75,000. The last time she updated it for me, it was at about $67,000. But we're confident as they continue to grow and buy more equipment and machinery and their inventory increases that there will be sufficient collateral for this loan. Internally, we met. We already have an existing relationship with the two owners. They have an excellent payment history, and based on the strength of their personal guarantees, we're comfortable making that change. But again, we need more.
Basically, the second mortgage would have given us belts and suspenders, and this way we only have belts. But they have good credit scores, and the guarantees are good, and again, when you look at the ability to pay, relying on, and it would be very difficult when you have 4 owners here, 2 owners here, but 2 to 4 over here. The other people who are involved in the related business don't want to put their assets at risk for business they're not partners.
So they came to us to change the collateral for the business owners.
Well, we asked for the collateral up front. They gave us so we can't get our other partners or other people who own the other business to do it. So we think that it is a good loan. There are people who we have done business with before. It's an interesting new business, and the reliance on the personal guarantees and credit worthiness of the owners of the business that we're discussing providing this loan to sufficient.
Is there any more work on our end as they get new equipment to keep updating and we're gonna keep voting on changing the collateral and stuff like that?
My understanding, Andy, is if we file a blanket lien, it will include existing assets as well as any additional assets.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Unless those assets are financed, right?
Right.
And then you get behind it.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Yeah, one other, couple things on the loan committee. Steve and Martha, and Jessica and I met, and, Steve put together a chart that you see, in your packet. Came, as a result of the discussion at a previous board meeting as to, what is our concentration in various, loan buckets. And, Steve, would you like to, we have a summary sheet, and then if someone's interested, well, you know, what type of loans are in the agribusiness category or the food service business category? We have a more detailed list, but, you know, if you look at this, you know, 29% is in food service, 18 is in retail, 15 is in service. You know, we do want to manage where we're not, you know, 50% in any one bucket, but I think when you look at the profile of businesses in the county, your image of where we are, but there's a lot of diversity here.
Yeah, and the other item that I would note, as Martha had introduced, you know, loans that we work tirelessly to obtain payments from are truly spread across the entire report. You know, there's a restaurant on the list, there's a clothing business on the list. So, you know, the exposure of those borrowers that are struggling at times are not in any one specific sector. And on a personal note, I want to thank the members of the board who had this topic in August, because it's, I love spreadsheets, so I had the opportunity to create this one for you. I hope you enjoy it. There's a lot of information in this, and it's not a hard report to put together at the board's request.
And I think we'll look at it quarterly at the loan committee and report summary.
It's wonderful, thank you.
I think information like this could make good visuals, could be like pie charts or graphs, something like that for our social media, and just getting the word out to people. Always asking, what do we do? How do we, and we can just use this now. This can pop that, hey, we're supporting this many businesses or this percentage of businesses. Just to make people aware of what's happening.
And the other thing we're going to do, which we've done in the past, but Steve did such a good job on this, I didn't want to add one more thing, but breaking it out by town, we then can use it with the board of supervisors to show that, you know, we are, it's almost like our own CRA. So if there's a town or two where we're not, you know, don't have any borrowers, maybe we better go find a few.
This or the condensed version would make an interesting addition to our annual meeting packet.
Yeah, and, you know, we've had in the past used those plastic things that, you know, restaurants have to advertise their special, and I think that putting some of this information out there will demonstrate a lot of people I think don't know that we have a loan program, or those that know we have a loan program don't know that we do all of the other things.
Next item would be workforce and education. Is anybody able to get on Zoom or not?
No one's on, but they can.
And Jessica, we did speak with Chris Nardone, and he was going to go to a conference, and then
Yep, attending conference. Workforce needs to report out on some activities. So I think in response to the committee and the board's reaction to workforce and education and our role with that within the county, looking and leveraging our partners are going to be really valuable as they're the ones that are out in the field on a regular basis, working on workforce and looking at and understanding the challenges and opportunities. So he's been gracious enough to be able to, you know, mention he'll come back.
And then if you'll recall, we did discuss with Chris and the college childcare, and so one of the areas that we are focusing in on workforce education committee is childcare. I know we spoke with Michael Johnson and the chairman about districts, see, we are seeing articles about school districts that are creating on-site childcare now that they have space because of their drop in enrollment. K through 12 system building apartments for staff, or providing some type of supplement for able staff to live in the community where they're teaching.
Mike, you want to add anything?
Taconic Hills is, at present, they have actually two superintendents on board, the interim superintendent, Doug, and the new superintendent coming on. They both have had a discussion. I've had a discussion with both of them, and we're going to meet shortly. There's two things that will be brought up at Taconic Hills, and I think they're very excited about it. One is childcare. That's going to be top priority this week. The board's going to dive into it. From what I understand, the child care possibility is, this was brought to them initially by the interim superintendent, would be for their staff. With the possibility that if it were not filled, then to go 25% to the public. It's a starting process. They have been in contact with the state, contacted with all the powers to be, and it looks pretty presentable. So that's on board right now. That's going to be a hot item immediately. The second issue will be housing. The school, I believe, is going to dive into that. So with help of Mike, he's gotten a lot of information for us. That's to start. We're going to meet with members of the school board and the two superintendents, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, to start an open discussion of the possibility of becoming a pilot program for other areas in the county or widely discussed on how the school district can get involved. And Mike has shown a lot of documentation, how the school district can get involved with housing wrapped around there, starting with teachers, staff that need to come here. And a lot of the problems there's two problems. A young teacher comes here, a young family, they don't have housing. That's a problem, number one. Number two, they don't have childcare. So to put that package together makes it more lucrative for such as the Taconic Hills School District, which is out at the end part of the county in a farther way, compared to a school district, say North Colony or something. This may be all that's needed to bring people in our area. So again, that's going to be dove into by the board real quick.
Is it a public or a private meeting?
Not yet. It won't go to that yet. It's just it's a fact-finding mission at this point.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are to the president CEO report.
Well, thank you. We have some really great news to report. As you know, Chris Brown joined us in January or February, January, and has been heading up our affordable housing task force that we're operating for the board of supervisors. And they have asked Chris to just give a quick refresher on the overview of the task force and the three committees. But we were successful in working with the task force and working with the board of supervisors, where the board of supervisors a week ago, tomorrow, passed a resolution unanimously approving having the application submitted to the state to create a county land bank. And part of this brief presentation is also explain what the benefits of the land bank are. And the application will be submitted to the New York Urban Development Corporation, the Fire State Development Board meeting in October. Chris?
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Well, thank you. Well, it was a team lift. A lot of people really helped with the land bank application. So just again, a broad overview of what the Housing Task Force has been doing. We broke into 3 constituent committees that are outreach, policy, and redevelopment. There's members from the task force and the advisory board in each of those committees, and we're charged with different things. Outreach is working on an employer survey with First Church County Community Foundation that should be going out this week. Cross my fingers. We're also developing profiles of folks that are affected by affordability and CEDC reviews a number of recommendations to make to towns, and we're developing a housing planning toolbox that will live on the CEDC website. We'll be showing a preview of that at this Wednesday's task force meeting. And tree development was really involved pretty heavily with the land bank application. So I just got back from, I think, 4 conferences in the span of the last 10 days all across the state. Learned a lot of good stuff, but one of the things that the county is missing, a lot of these programs require a nonprofit to apply for the grants, and they require the nonprofit to hold land. Those are 2 things that the county doesn't really have. The closest thing we have is Habitat. We talked to Al Valencia from Habitat is ready to build, he just needs parcels. So part of that reasoning is why we decided to apply to the state, to Empire State Development, to create a land bank. There are 7 of these left. I know there's one other application floating around, so those get approved, there will only be 5 left. We did send a draft version of the application to the gentleman, contact person at Empire State Development. He had no substantive comments, so as Mike said, it's our belief that this will get approved for the 4th week of October. And we really see the land bank as acting as a hub with a bunch of other community organizations acting as sort of the spoke model, right? And some of these organizations don't currently operate in Update County, so you're talking about potentially bringing in folks like Rupco, or bringing in people like Hudson River Housing, expanding Habitat's ability to act by being able to acquire more grants and more parcels for them. So it's a pretty big win. Again, there's only going to be a half a dozen of these left after we get approved, so it's huge that Columbia County is getting one, or potentially getting one. I know that Mike's been working on this for a few years. It just seems like the opportunity and the time really lined up. And the board of supervisors is clearly centered housing as one of their focuses on both sides. So the timing seemed to make sense for this to actually finally happen. So we're pretty excited about it.
And I think that the follow-up to this is we're going to try to lock in a date to host another county virtual housing forum. Most of the work that Chris has been working on got kicked off when we had that forum a year or 2 ago. Be able to provide an update, and I think the benefit of working with the Board of Supervisors to approve the land bank application demonstrates that the task force is just not talking about it. There's actually some concrete things that are being done. Admittedly, it's just one tool in the toolkit. I think that we hope to have Darren Scott, who is housing development for the state, overseeing upstate housing, and Adam Bosch, the president of Patterns of Progress, as panelists or speakers at the virtual conference. Hoping to lock the date in late October or first, sure we're all aware. Other areas that we're working on are we continue to work on broadband. We're working with Canaan and New Lebanon and the USDA with respect to accessing the grant that Congressman Delgado was able to obtain for them, along with the towns of Ghent and Austerlitz. But again, Ghent and Austerlitz went ahead on their own with ARPA money. We are continuing to work with the state. I think we reported last time that the process is for the state to submit a report by the end of the year. The FCC will either approve or modify that report. At that point, the state will be able to go out and do RFPs to the providers in each of the counties to get proposals to complete the build out of the unserved addresses. That will be sent, those RFPs will be sent to Washington to review so that they can determine how much funding they will provide to each state under that process. I'm continuing your confirmation that means the money probably will flow until 4th quarter 24 or 1st quarter 25. When you look at what's left in the county, there's about 600 addresses that are unserved. The providers, the full providers, each are doing a few a week or a month that will chip away at that list. But as you get to the last mile, is the most expensive. And in fact, one of the addresses in the Canaan, New Lebanon model, which are priced out now so that they can access funding. It's $35,000. Come by their front door, not their street, not bring it up to their house. So, those last mile addresses are hard to serve. But we're optimistic. Of the 600 addresses, 200 are in Wilson. So I did speak with supervisor recently, and he said he went to Starlink. They're recommending that to people. The broadband discussion has led to a discussion where Chairman Morell of the Board of Supervisors asked us to look into cell service. So a little bit more of a difficult issue because of topography and also the fact, not unlike broadband, a lot of towers are poles or have space, and new towers scare people and the other issue is that if you're in a very rural area where there's not much activity on the cell through the cell service, they're not upgrading the system. And as you, on the flip side, as they upgrade from 3 to 4 to 5, the circle gets smaller. When you have so that you need more repeaters when you're doing level 5 service. So rural areas, repeaters are difficult because normally they put them on the top of a 2-story or 4-story or 10-story building to get service. And so, we are looking at it. We have begun to look at the FCC maps to find out where the gaps are. But again, the topography here, there are always going to be some gaps. It's something that the supervisors have asked us to look at. I think we reported previously that the county is going to be holding a climate forum where representatives from both sides of the climate change issue will be presenting. Just stated in a meeting at the request of Chairman Morell last week. In terms of planning it, we did not appoint us to the committee of supervisors, county staff that are organizing it, but they are asking for our support and help. As I think I reported that in September of 2024, the county is going to host their second climate carnival at the county fairgrounds, and they have asked us to be their fiscal agent. And you may recall what that involved, and we've done it for the Lincoln Funeral Train effort. We've done it for the town of Germantown and the town of Stockport Park, where county government and town governments can't accept donations or sell sponsorships. So our role would be to set up a separate bank account, and as they market the sponsors, that the money would come here, we would deposit it as their agent, and then they would present to us bills related to costs associated with that. They have asked that we pass a resolution so that we're authorized to do that. Our accountants prefer that if we do this, we do it in a 12-month window. So the way this is structured, if it's the resolution that I'm proposing would be effective January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, that we act as the fiscal agent for the county's climate.
Motion approved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Infrastructure is an issue that's I'm very concerned about because Dave about this. That's good advice. This money's going to come, and I don't know that anyone's ready. Most towns don't have any full-time employees other than highway department employees. There's a lot of planning that has to go in prior to being eligible to submit for a grant. Jess and I have been working on some potential studies as they relate to brown seal. But you know, water and sewer, the other aspect of water and sewer is if the town decides they want to apply for a water and sewer grant, it's your group of people who now understand that there's going to be density built around them. You're going to have local objections. So don't, our thought was, and I brought it up with the Board of Supervisors Economic Development last night, we want to get, we want to identify who's in each town, who is their outside town engineer. We all contract with a local firm, and we don't want to bring in a firm and have people think that we're trying to disrupt their relationship that's already existing. But my guess is there's probably 3 or 4 firms that serve all the towns in the county. And if we can get that group together and begin to identify what's necessary to be able for towns and villages to apply for funds, so that at the end of 2030, we're not sitting here saying, boy, well, the other 900 towns in the state got money, but we didn't, and it's going to be up to each individual town to define what grant money they want, if any, for what purpose. Have been working on EV with the county, as well as with National Grid, Central Hudson, and New York State Electric and Gas. We have put together a list of people at each of those utility companies that are responsible for the rollout, along with representatives from NYSERDA and with the county's Environmental Planning Council and working with the county planning department. You know, as with respect to solar, with the 5 megawatt and under solar projects, county's asked us to coordinate the payment in lieu of tax agreements if those projects are entitled to. If the town doesn't object to, if the town does object to the project getting total tax-free treatment under the state law, the town can opt out and require that they have a pilot. Getting up to where we have 8 or 10 of these pilots, the first payments don't start until the first taxable status date after the project goes into service, which many will be going into service after March, between now and March 1 of next year. So we want to make sure that everyone required to begin to pay their pilot payments next year are fully aware of that and ready to go. Finally, Chris and I have been asked by the supervisor's office to assist them with evaluating a short-term rental tax. Columbia County was waiting for the state to provide a statewide structure, but at this point, both from revenue standpoint and from a registration and public safety standpoint, counties forward. There are multiple examples of counties around the state that we're pulling together. So there's a lot on our plate. It only heightens the loss we're going to experience with Jessica, but the work that she's done to lay the framework and groundwork for us to be able to operate at this level will benefit whoever we hire to bring back in. And so I want to end again thanking you very much for all you've done. We can call on you to find out what we do next, but we also appreciate the fact that we're going to be working in other contexts as we have been since, at least in my case, from 2004, when we were at the city. Thank you. Tell you what I'm doing. Was I good? Did I hold it together? Thank you.
All right, thank you. I believe that it's our meeting. I'm going to go around the table here and just ask if anyone has anything.
I got something, sir. Forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn or not staying in my lane, because I'm not on the governance and nominating committee, but I just feel like so much time has passed since Mr. Benson and Ms. Otay have been here, and like I feel like we're just dragging our feet. You know, they're not sending in their letter of resignation, so why can't we just like
They have,
Two things. First of all, if you're not on the governor's nominating committee, that could be solved instantly.
Yes, we
And,
have.
secondly, Rich, Sarah's been working on that.
Joe Benson has resigned, trying to get, minutes. I've talked to her many times, and she will be resigning, but we have to have an official resignation letter, which is a problem. If it doesn't come by next meeting, the board has to put in a resolution for that. And we're actively looking.
Okay, because I did put in, I talked to a wedding client of mine, Shanatia Bygrave, who works at the credit union, and she's super eager to be a part of our board. I ran into her at a wedding just last week, and she's like, I can't wait to hear from the board. So a lot of good energy, and I'm just hoping that we can fast track some of the stuff. It just seems like it's been months and months, and every month that goes by is another missed opportunity. I don't want to be one of those slow moving governing operations. I just think hope things move faster. That's all.
Yeah, right now we're meeting every other month. About that too. So it's resolved. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah.
We're out of turn, Jim.
I know about that.
I know her as well.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Before we get to Derek Ralph, on behalf of Columbia Forward, CEDC, Chamber, I want to thank Derek and his family for hosting the event the other night. And it's still great. It's a great event, especially better. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, it was well turned, a good turnout, and, I think when we reported to the supervisors last night, they were excited about it. Jessica, could you just mention the resolution that you recommended to the board of supervisors last night?
Oh, sure. So the National Veteran Small Business Week is coming up. It's October 30th to November 3rd. So if you'll recall, we did a lot for the National Small Business Week, which was in April. This one is coming up for specifically veterans. We're working pretty closely with the McNulty Center in Albany, which hosts the VBOC, the Veterans Business Outreach Center, and trying to figure out how we can sort of sponsor and get some opportunities to share what they're doing to our community. Also asked that the County Board of Supervisors approve proclamation. So they're going to look at that at in 2 weeks. They're meeting for next week. So the chairman of a proclamation announcing that for the Columbia County Veteran Small Business Week.
They're having the McNulty Center coming up that in November. And be there.
We market their activities in our newsletter. Both the director of the center and the director of the SBA's protected.
Veterans Business
Are
Outreach.
people that Jessica and I have worked with over the years. And the programs that they have lined up for that Veterans Business Week are virtual, so we can market them to businesses in Columbia County where they don't have to drive to the border to the arsenal. But also the conferences. The tie-in, of course, is that SBA involvement that we have at the microloan program level, and the involvement that office serves our county as well. Many of the veteran-owned businesses are not registered or certified by the state, but there's still hundreds of businesses out there where when you were filling out your PPP form, you could check off, for a veteran-owned business, even if you weren't not through certification.
Eric,
All set.
thank you again. Thank you. Andy? Mike? Yes, you said. Thank you.
Mike, you quickly mentioned the county and Matt had come to us regarding short-term rentals, an STR program. Is that countywide or is that to be determined town by town?
It would be countywide. I don't know how it would interplay with the city who already has one, but we can find that out.
And will be our responsibility to develop parameters of program and regulatory procedures?
It would not be ours. It would be the local law would be passed by the Board of Supervisors. It's not what, it's not clear if we're going to be asked to do some administrative functioning because they're going to hire a firm. There's firms out there that monitor this. I think that don't think we want to be in the police business of following up on what that means.
That's the trick in this business. Regulation.
Yeah. So I've met a couple of times with the consultants that I believe they'll at least do an RFP and consider. And they have all kinds of software that goes in and figures out whether people are abiding by the rules or not. But as you know, it's going to depend on how detailed the regulations are. Like, yeah, you can use it 3 times a month for this, but not those 3 months. So it's got to be simple.
I will agree with this, Jessica.
I just wanted to comment on the interest rate discussion that we had earlier. One of the loan that we had for refinance was a gentleman who's went to online lenders, and they charge 14.5%. So 7.75 sounds.
But also, he couldn't have gotten a loan from if he had to go to the 14% borrower, he probably couldn't have gotten a loan anywhere else, right?
Just a couple of quick things from the college. Our enrollment, we're projecting an 8% increase this fall. Since the beginning of the semester, we brought in more than $1 million in grants to support healthcare needs. Most recently, a birthing mannequin, which is part of our simulation program. As you know, with the hospital, the birthing center to Albany. Our nurses have had trouble, nurses who are interested in maternity care have had trouble providing training for that. So we're really excited on that score. And lastly, we are opening next Monday an incredible exhibition, in my opinion, to commemorate Ben this week. I'm an English major, architect and an artist. Discovered the work of this artist named Brian Sheffield. He does portraits of authors whose books have been banned, and prints that he does with portrait, he has quotes from some of their works. So we are mounting this exhibition, and I'm really excited about it because we're going to be auctioning the prints. There will be 16 of them, and the proceeds are going to benefit the library. And then my husband and I are going to match every dollar raised through the auction to send it to the Maui Library. So I hope you can all stop by. The reception is Tuesday, starting at 4 o'clock. If you can't make the reception, just swing by the college. It's in the Catterskill Gallery, which is in the gallery across from the library. The library, of course, is also going to have a huge display of banned books.
And Bible. Anybody over there? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.